Okay, as I understand, and I'll read on the internet, there is not only in Croatia, but especially in Croatia, there is a war going on between two groups, the traditionalists and the lunatics. And
You guys are
that is
lunatics, right?
almost like a religious war, which is very bad. Like ending up in personal insults and in people hating each other and boycotting each other. And the traditionalists, of course, believe that they must do it the Japanese way. They think there is one Japanese way, and that's the only thing. And they think what we are doing is just outright terrible. And of course, the people who are sitting here, they think exactly the same the other way. There is something like this in America, but is it also that strong?
No, I don't think we're up to weapons and things, but it's called an old guard. And the old guard, and to start out with, I appreciate, and I think everybody appreciates what has happened in the past, because we've learned from the past, but again, the art is what different things you were doing for the future. And sometimes that's hard to accept from the traditionalists, the people that have been, especially that have said, well, I've grown this tree from seed for the last 50 years and I developed each branch and I nurtured the tree, and isn't it a perfect tree as any Japanese would appreciate it. We'll just say Japanese, and I'm the first to appreciate Japanese art and in bonsai, but I'm also one to depart from that and go my own way, and that's what I think art's about, is foundation. So in the United States there are some people, but they're older folks. Older folks mean this to be doing bonsai or doing the craft of bonsai for many years, and they're, to me, stuck in a rut. And that's all they're going to ever do. Okay, they're not going to change, and I guess they are going to criticize. You know, today's gathering is to be bonsai inspiration, not critique of each other and what we're doing right or wrong, just to be inspired by bonsai. And so the traditionalists are going to happen that way, and if they choose to pick a fight or an argument or whatever you want to call it, I think you're arguing about two different things. One is staying as status quo, and the other is going beyond and doing your own thing. And going beyond and doing your own thing, if that didn't happen, then we would have Picasso and Rembrandt and Michelangelo and Peter Max and any artist that you've been inspired through the years in other art forms. So I don't know if there's a lot of underground animosity about things that I'm doing or some other people are doing in the States that are different than what has been done over the years. I truly don't know how much of that is going on, but if I did the internet, I would probably, and said this statement, maybe I'm going to find out, okay? So maybe entering, I'm in the high 50s and I can take it, so if I'm critiqued, that's perfectly fine.
Well, I have an example of that. We have, this morning we have seen two of the new pots, the Polish pots made by Mateusz Grobelny. The first time you really looked at them, and as I realized, you immediately jumped onto that and saw that this is a wonderful thing for certain trees, not for all trees. A wonderful combination, brilliant, fine. Okay, I must say, when I first saw this, I felt the same thing, and I know many who feel the same way. But there is a group on the internet who thinks we are just out of our mind. We are insane. It should be forbidden. They really believe that this should be forbidden. It's so bad that it's the end of the civilization. And there's an enormous discussion going on, which to me is like a political discussion. And they believe that we are changing bonsai very much to the worse. So we're not improving it, but we are changing it to the worse. And just by trying to change, well, they are offending us or they're accusing us of doing the wrong thing. You're not going to change something that is good. So their position is, bonsai, as we were taught by the Japanese, is very good. Why in the world are you going to change it? And why are you changing it in such a bad way? Okay, I think as this discussion goes on and on, I realize they think they of themselves as being artists, but really they're not, because their concept of art is to copy the Japanese as good as possible. That is their concept of art. And the Western concept of art is radically different. An artist has to ignore tradition, has to create a new tradition, has to try out new things. He may very well fail all the way, but at least then he's an artist. Maybe he's a bad artist. Right. And those who want to conserve tradition are not really artists. They are craftsmen, maybe good craftsmen. And they may make a lot of business because that's what mainstream wants. Mainstream does not want these crazy things. Okay, anyway, this goes on in a way which is partially unbearable, and partially it's just funny. Okay, and people who I know personally, you can sit together and have a glass of beer and badmouth everybody who is not in the room, as we all do, and are nice colleagues, you know. They all of a sudden turn into beasts. And they probably think that, for example, I turn into a beast, which I really don't do. Now, the story goes like this. There was this Polish man, Pavel, who has become a friend of mine, who is a lot on the internet in bonsai and reading everything, and he has this idea of starting Polish pots. So he has this friend who is a sculptor who has learned how to do raku and all that stuff in Japan and Korea, and he is a very well-known sculptor, and he gets this man a bit interested in bonsai. So they both together think that, okay, we start Polish pots. Now the first thing is, well, you look at bonsai pots and you just try to copy these. Well, is that really what he wants to do? No, he's an artist. I'm not going to copy Chinese or European or what have you pots.